Hello everyone and welcome. In this recording, I'm going to be speaking about this upcoming new moon that we have in the sign of Leo on the 28th of July 2022. Now, this, in my opinion at least, is one of the most favorable, blessed, fortunate even lunations of this period because the specific celestial conversation that this new moon holds is a trine with Jupiter, a fire trine. So that in many ways is really good news because if it doesn't do anything else, at least it shifts the feeling in our heart of hearts. We feel that we can begin anew. We feel that we are ready for something new. We are ready for something passionate. We are ready to give birth to something. And for some people, this can be literal as well. Whereas, some individuals out there under the effect of this really powerful new moon just wake up to the fact that they're ready to become parents, they're ready to live a more stable and committed life, they're ready for love, they're ready for marriage, they're also ready to dedicate themselves for their passion, their hobby, their life's calling, or whatever might, of course, delight their hearts of hearts. Now, individually, what this new moon represents could be totally different than collectively because collectively, this really, really awakens our heart space. This really, really awakens, how should I explain this? An urgent impulse in our heart space to start truly navigating towards the future. The opposite sign is ultimately Aquarius, the future. So this is when even the heart space, the intelligence of the heart, because Mercury is also in this part of the sky. So basically the intelligence of the heart and heart space, including the energetic version, the heart chakra, or our ethereal heart, if that makes sense. Well, in any way, shape, and form, we are truly ready to step towards closer and closer to a stable future. Because Aquarius is a fixed dual sign ultimately, so it has the rebellious, the unstable, the chaotic, the individualistic side as well. But it also needs stability, it also needs groundedness, it also needs a certain kind of structure and harmony. It is by no coincidence that Saturn is the ancient ruling planet of the sign of Aquarius, and this translating to modern terms, our mental spheres, our minds do need structure, stability, and how should I say, responsibility as well. Because the more we are heading towards, the age of Aquarius, the full on expression of it, because the Great Conjunction did take place in 0 degrees of Aquarius, so that basically gives us 20 years of Aquarian signature. So as we head deeper and deeper into this Aquarian vibe, well, our thoughts become stronger, our, how should I explain this? The creative force of our mental sphere will become that much more strikingly obvious. Our mindset, our thoughts, the polarity of our thoughts, the frequency of our thoughts, basically what plays through in our mental scenario will matter a lot. Very, very much. And Saturn makes us responsible. Saturn shows us right now, as we speak, that how very significant is for us to discipline, master, and rule our thoughts, and not vice versa. Because, yes, there are moments in time when this mental chaos can birth epiphanies, new ideas, ingenuity. It can truly do great work in a very short amount of time, but that's basically the spur of a moment. It cannot function that way 24/7 because that will ultimately lead to shut down, if that makes sense. So Saturn is very much needed, even in the mental sphere. Now, the lower expression of that Saturn is ultimately the lack of total liberty, the lack of doing exactly what it is that you please. But thoughts can be violent, disruptive, unclean, if that makes sense as well. So sometimes to have a lot of discipline is advised, and this is what this Aquarius and Leo axis with the planets in them are doing right now, reminding us of how very important our mental discipline and basically to rule our thoughts and make ourselves masters of our thoughts is. But at the same time, the same goes for the heart, because as long as the heart is fed with purity, compassion, unconditional love, the best and the best and the best that Leo can offer. And how do we know what the best of the best? Leo is children. So, how do we love children? Purely, unconditionally. And speaking about Saturn, when we have to sacrifice for children, we find it that much more easy and basically we can do it passionately, regardless of what that sacrifice might involve. So this new moon is also hand in hand with two very important planetoids. One of them is Ceres, and the conjunction with Ceres is not exact. Ceres is at 2 degrees of the sign of Leo, while this new moon takes place at 5 degrees and around 39 minutes. But there is yet another conjunction where the planetoid Varuna is also speaking hand in hand with this new moon. Varuna is the symbol of purity. It is a creational deity of fresh water, much like in the Sumerian mythology Enki, if anyone knows what I'm speaking about. So this is a very, very strong force and symbol of purity, fresh and new beginning, because fresh water, a creational deity that basically bursts from the spring of creation and its own fathom ultimately. So we can imagine that this adds a very, very high frequency to this new moon. This adds a very special kind of purity, meaning that whatever might be born out of our heart space, and of course, depending on where this 5 degrees of Leo falls into your chart, in which area of your life it falls into, that will determine the area of life for you. Yet still, regardless, it's heart-based energy, very, very pure, very, very sacred, and Ceres just adds to this the nurturing qualities. Ceres adds to this pure heart and soul and emotional food, either that we might receive ourselves or we might be the givers of this new moon, regardless of how fate kind of plays out for us. And another very minor astrological conversation with another planetoid that this new moon holds. And I would like to mention this because this is so beautiful, this is so magical, not very serious or earthly, but I'm sure that many astrologers will not speak about this unique magic that is taking place in the sky, so I will speak about this. The new moon holds an exact quincunx, an in conjunction, a minor celestial dance which links together two areas of life which might apparently have nothing to do with each other, but us finding the meaning or being able to go beyond the awkwardness, go beyond the surprise factor, will make us that much wiser. Or it is an emotional impulse that kind of influences us in a rather weird way, because that's a quincunx. There has to be a kind of mystery to it, a weirdness, an awkwardness, something that basically is much more than meets the eye. And the other planetoid that it holds an exact quincunx with is a quasar, ancient, very, very tribal, a very tribal, ritualistic deity of dance and music and stuff like that. So what does this mean? Leo. Well, Leo loves dance and music, doesn't it? Leo loves self-expression, loves creativity. Leo is a very good provider of all of these, but Leo is also a very, very good recipient of this. Leo enjoys to be the recipient, the subject of music, dance, anything beautiful, anything upbeat, light-hearted. So this is definitely Leo. Now, how this celestial conversation can play out in the lives of some people, maybe dance, music, or if you're into shamanism, anything which has to do with ritual, drum, bass, beats, music, dance, or ceremony, or concerts, festivals, but not mainstream. It has to have some kind of alternative to it to, embody Quaoar, but in the sign of Capricorn. So this can connect you either to a partner, either to a new love, either to falling in love with a hobby, passion, career, something that might be a door opener for you in your life path or professionally or whatever Capricorn means for you, structure of your life or whatever. So sometimes this quincunx is highly magical. Follow the trail of breadcrumbs that the universe lays out for you in shape and form of music, in shape and form of anything shamanic, anything mystical, but which has to have a playfulness to it, maybe a connection to nature, or maybe just march to the beats of your own drum. Maybe your heart is starting to come alive this new moon. Yes, it is the darkness of the moon, so this is like a reset, but one which brings forth something totally never experienced before. So individually speaking, as I said, this Leo new moon with the trine that Jupiter also offers, this can be a perfect moment for a new love, falling in love, anything that has to do with strengthening, fortifying our hearts. Moment of courage, moment of determination, moment of passion, moment when your creativity just gets to the whole new level. And Quaoar, and basically simply the sign of Leo, creativity is written all over this. Can be a moment when you fall in love with an art, even if you don't have that big talent. The sheer playfulness of this, just you doing it, the experience of it, it will be so, so, so amazing. So anyone who, has a little bit of spare time or feels strong creativity, try out arts, crafts, anything that appeals to your creativity. May that be something deeply artistic, or may that be something like physical exercise, may that be something travels. Mercury in the sign of Leo, where your heart calls to, but Mercury does hold a tensioned conversation with Mars, and also Uranus, and also the North Node. So, okay, answering this inner adventure call, or taking this, when I say leap of faith, this is where it's minor. It's not something which will, shock your life or a massive, massive life change. Although everything else in the sky, yeah, it gets us closer to the massive life change. Just that this new moon complements it. It's like a piece of the puzzle, and it is the unity that will really, 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 really shock us. This new moon is just responsible for the heart, how we process whatever is stirring in our lives, stirring karmically for us, and of course, more importantly, collectively. But let's focus on us right now, because the sun is in its home sign of Leo, extra strong, extra powerful, the king of the sky basically, and the king of this show. So something will definitely kickstart this feeling this passion in our hearts. For some people, this can even feel like an emotional rebirth, because this passionate new moon with Ceres, no, that means something feeds the passion. That means new soul food. That means, a person, a love, or anything that happens to you, maybe a moment of personal success, a moment of triumph, fire trine. So something, the feeling in your heart has to be amped by something, that Jupiter has to translate to something, someone, even if it's just a feeling in your heart, or even if it's, a new idea, a new initiative, a new adventure, anything goes, because this kind of energizes us. This might be a moment when this very strong fatigue that we experienced when the sun is in the sign of Cancer, the sign of Taurus, these signs take it easy and slowly, and they cannot rush. So all of us might experience a slight fatigue in this period. But this Leo new moon can energize us. When our hearts are full of love, passion, or whatever, we can feel very, very differently on our energy levels, even physically speaking. Now, of course, that Jupiter in the sign of Aries is also warrior energy. So for some people, this is where they muster the courage, the ambition, the self-belief, the boldness, the craziness to do something, make a brave move, a brave gesture, a bold gesture, to basically stand up for their self-worth. For other people still, this is when they get out of shy mode, and either because of the necessity or because something a little bit magical that Gwawar inspires them, they step out of their comfort zones and start doing something very, very important for them, the start of a new adventure. Now, let's take a look at the other planets in the sky, because as I said, Mercury is also in Leo, but it holds a square with Mars. Now, a square to Mars usually means angry words. It means let's be careful of our gestures, our immediate reaction, because we don't want to make this violent. We don't want to make this anger based. We don't want to. Now, this is the kind of aspect where when you lash out, regardless of what that means physically, verbally, psychologically, magically, even, it will do much more damage than you could even think. So be careful. Don't lash out. Try not to lash out. Try to control yourself, because I cannot lie. If you necessarily want to turn this into anger, it will bless you with anger. It will bless you with strength, with destructive force even, but we know that doesn't lead to anywhere good. Now, that the fact that we will see this play out on the world stage, protests, and this might cause massive legal battles, but not legal battles between two big power players, but people versus. This is where it's people versus whoever. And we might not necessarily know who is more triumphant, the people or the authorities, but we might be seeing an expression of this later on after this new moon, when Mercury will oppose Saturn. Mercury in the sign of Leo, Saturn in the sign of the opposite sign of Aquarius. So that might mean censorship, that might mean Mercury in the sign of Leo speaking the heart, speaking what is on the heart, speaking the collective emotion, the collective will, the collective passion. So people speaking their feelings, their whatever it is that they are wanting to communicate to Saturn, a centralized power. So there might be censorship here. This might escalate the existing legal battles, human rights issues, what is acceptable, what is not. But this is where it's Leo. Let's target the morality as well. There is a fine line between morality and common sense type of morality and exaggerated morality. So this is where exaggerations will be excluded or start being excluded from law. What I mean by this is someone mopped the floor, the wet floor sign wasn't there, and you fell, but absolutely nothing major happened to you. So maybe you won't be entitled to compensation. And is that moral or immoral? I would say healthy morality says that if you broke your spine, okay, let's help you. But if nothing happened to you, don't con, don't cheat. So this is the type of energy that will activate, and this can lead to, as I said, unusual legal battles, unusual question raised about what is moral, what is not moral, what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, even in the detriment of law, basically. Because that's Jupiter. Jupiter is the law. Jupiter always raises issues around the law. And Mercury square, well, we can imagine that Mercury squaring Mars action is going to be taken. Now, the best expression of this energy, well, Mars is conjunct and starting its conjunction with Uranus and the North Node. Now, Mars's conjunction along with Uranus means something radical, something unexpected, something spur of a moment, very, very quick, like lightning, instantaneous, that rocks and changes a lot of things. Now, physically speaking, I am not gonna lie, this is a risk of explosion, seismic activity, seaquake, tsunamis, and the extreme weather phenomenon, and we can see the heat wave ravaging. Mars, heat, electricity, Uranus, and Mars was supercharged in his home sign of Aries. It met significant other power players. So Mars is the karmic activator and energizer. Mars carries with itself all of the other energies of the path it traversed until it gets to the aspect that we are talking about in the present moment. So Mars is supercharged with other volatile energies, with other past aspects. And when I say past aspects, last year, this year, really, that's the Mars past aspects. So Mars was a key determining factor in so very many karmic detonations. Excuse my colorful language. So you can imagine that it will do the same now. So powerful earth changes might be due at this time. Powerful political changes, powerful economic changes, everything that is Taurus. And also inner revolution of the heart. Why heart? Well, that Leo new moon, courage and passion, Varuna series. So that means we are divinely made ready, divinely fueled by excessive passion, perhaps. But why? Either to adapt to that sudden change of a big, I don't know, a big moment of disruption that ultimately has to turn to our greatest good, both individually and collectively. Just that individually it can be such a pleasant surprise, compliments, loves, presents, professional notoriety blessing you, surprise, surprise, you get that journey, that opportunity, that opening, that money, that car, that computer, something related to value that you desperately needed. So individually it can have so many delightful expressions, even if it's a hard aspect. Collectively, okay, we get the delightful aspects: new technology, cryptocurrency, revolutionizing agriculture. This is where also some kind of robotic technology has to enter our lives, because Mars, along with the North Node in Taurus, employment is already a bit different, because people value their personal time more and they don't want to sacrifice it just for money. And why? Well, there are so many rich and powerful out there, people don't care anymore. This is what Uranus started doing in the sign of Taurus, and this is ultimately what it will finish in 2026. Maybe universal income, where money is no longer value at all. It's just a simple resource like, I don't know, water or whatever that is portioned to us, basically. So money is losing out. Other something else would take its place, but this is where all of us are in working progress with this, because what takes its place is born from Uranus, but also our heart, Venus. Venus is the ruling planet of Taurus. Anyway, so collectively it's going to be a massive disruption, maybe protest, maybe uprising, maybe the same thing that happened in Sri Lanka happening all over the world. So this is where politicians are going to be heavily challenged. So put this in context so you can imagine. But individually, as I said, whatever the surprise factor, massive life change, you getting out of your comfort zone needs. It can need something from you, an action, a choice, a decision, saying yes to something, saying no to something. It can also be something that does not depend on you, depending on your personal situation. If you've done everything that you could, if you've done all that was in your power in order to change or do something, you can imagine then something external might come to help you or to change the situation for you. So either way, this is where we have to expect a lot of shocks and surprises and epiphanies. And also, Venus is still squaring Jupiter at this time, so this also means that we'll be shocked. This also means that the heart, Venus in the sign of Cancer, well, ultimately that is our emotional world in its integrity, so we're gonna be stirred up. But with any Jupiter aspect, there is no reason why we cannot turn it, at least individually, to our greatest good. Because whatever changes in our lives, whatever surprises we might get, they might be disruptive, they might be uncomfortable, sometimes just physically. Oh, I had a lot of plans here and there, and now everything went up in the air, and I have to go back to the drawing board once again. That's boring, I get it. But this is one way of seeing things. We can also see things as, what did the divine want to suggest to me? Why is it that I don't need my immediate plans anymore? What better upgrade Uranus is the divine giving me? So to listen to the clues and become aware of the divine message, because whatever surprise happens in our lives, that's a message. What it is that Uranus wants to bring to your awareness, Mars, what it is that you actually got what you asked for, but with Uranus not the way you expected it, but still your will was done somehow. For those people who said, I surrender my will to the divine, that's the same thing, because it was your will to surrender. But the North Node, progress for the long-term future, we need this. So if we really try to embody our wisest selves, I'm very sure that we can truly turn this energy to our greatest good. Collectively, regardless of what disruption it may cause, well, the wrecking ball. Pluto will trine Uranus after 2024. If I'm not sorry, after 2026. Because Pluto is gonna be in Aquarius and Uranus in Gemini, so air trine. We need to get ready for that moment, because that will be the moment when we have to execute everything that we have been offered right now. Information, epiphanies, divine downloads, our own ingenuity, our own options and choices to make our lives more authentic to us personally. So whatever the divine offers us right now, if we are wise, we need to accept it and embrace it. And of course, we're also getting ready for the upcoming activation of the Uranus and Saturn square. So yes, we need to implement radical changes. Maybe in 2021, when this Uranus and Saturn square was at its strongest and most influential, it hit us like a wrecking ball. Now, we are the wrecking ball. Now it's up to us to diligently embodying both Uranus, our higher mind, the awareness of all that we were given, and Saturn, diligence, dignity, common sense, because ultimately sometimes the divine has to be tuned down as well. The divine never ever wants to hurt us, but it hurts us by its nature. It's so high frequency that it fries us, symbolically speaking. So it is also our responsibility to adapt the divine into an acceptable earthly shape and form, Saturn. So we have so much on our table. We have so much work to do. And if you're a person who says, well, I have no idea what the divine would want from me and what work I'm supposed, you're already doing it, so don't think. Just do it. Be it. You're already doing it. But most people are actually being made ready, and they just need the world change to finally settle down, because what where we are right now, everything is demolished, so we are in this phase where we kind of have to clean up the demolishment, but we also have to start building anew simultaneously. So between the two, there is a moment of pause, a moment of recollection, a moment when we just sit down or stand and look at the damage, as in look at what it is that we need to do and how to do it. A moment of consultation, a moment of alliances being born, the new love that I have been speaking about with this new moon, Leo new moon. So, but the glue to it is love. So whatever it is that we do, and the biggest assessment that we need to become aware of, without love, we cannot rebuild, we're doomed. That's it, really. Love is right now the most important thing in in our eternal existence. So any timeline, anything, love. The more we embody love right now, as in right now, the better we basically ready ourselves and everyone else connected to us to receive the building materials when they will come. And the building material is energy, but we need to sanctify the energy, the force, the divine downloads with our love, with our most purest love. So thank you everyone for listening, and thank you for all the love, all the support, all the kindness and generosity. And please, sorry, I wasn't able to respond to the messages and the comments, but I'm working on it. Thank you again. Until next time, bye for now.